Welcome back, chosen one. If you're hearing these words right now, understand that this is not coincidence. This is divine orchestration. Your spirit was pulled to this exact moment because heaven has something critical to reveal, something that will shift everything you thought you understood about the warfare you've been walking through, the isolation that has surrounded you, the betrayal that cut you deeper than you thought possible, the attacks that came from directions you never expected. None of this was random. None of this was punishment. All of it was preparation. You are standing at the threshold of a supernatural reversal so profound that, when it manifests, even those who plotted against you will be forced to acknowledge that the hand of God is upon your life. I need you to breathe deeply right now. Settle your spirit, because what you're about to receive is not just information, it's activation. The very atmosphere around your life is about to shift. Doors that have been locked against you are about to swing open with such force that no human hand will be able to close them again. And the ones who whispered your name in darkness, who gathered in secret to diminish what heaven has placed on you, they are about to witness something they never prepared for. Not your breakdown, your breakthrough. Not your defeat, your divine elevation. For too long, you have carried the weight of other people's jealousy without understanding what it actually meant. You thought their resistance was about something you did wrong. You questioned yourself, wondering if you were too much, too bold, too visible, too anointed. You tried to shrink yourself to make insecure people comfortable. You dimmed your light so others wouldn't feel overshadowed. You walked on eggshells in rooms where you should have been, celebrated, all because you could feel the tension that your very presence created. But here's what heaven is declaring over you right now. You were never meant to make them comfortable. You were designed to disrupt, to shift atmospheres, to expose what is weak, simply by being authentically who God created you to be. And this is precisely why they gathered against you. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every destiny-driven life when heaven pulls back the curtain and shows you what has really been happening while you were walking through the valley. This is that moment for you. You need to understand something that will change how you see everything you've endured. Jealousy is never triggered by failure. Jealousy is always triggered by potential. They didn't come after you because you were doing something wrong. They targeted you because they could see something forming in you that terrified them, something they knew in their deepest parts they could never manufacture in themselves, no matter how hard they tried. Your authenticity threatened their performance. Your peace exposed their chaos. Your steady progress revealed their stagnation. Your light made their darkness impossible to ignore. And instead of asking you for the light, instead of humbling themselves to learn from what you carried, they tried to blow out your candle. They attempted to suffocate what they could not control. They plotted to tear down what they could not replicate, because that's what insecurity does. It sabotages what it cannot become. It attacks what it cannot control. It resents what it cannot understand. You've walked into rooms and felt the atmosphere shift before you even spoke. Conversation stopped mid-sentence when you arrived. Opportunities mysteriously evaporated when your name was mentioned. Friendships grew cold when your progress became undeniable. Support vanished the moment your elevation could no longer be hidden. You felt all of it, and it confused you deeply because you weren't trying to compete. You weren't trying to outshine anyone. You weren't trying to take anything from anybody. You were simply existing in the fullness of who you are, and that alone was enough to trigger a reaction you never asked for. But here's the prophetic truth that heaven is releasing over your life in this sacred moment. You were never meant to be contained. You were never designed to stay in spaces where people were intimidated by the grace resting on your life. You were never called to lower your volume so that insecure souls could maintain their fragile sense of control. Heaven fashioned you to shift spiritual climates, to raise the standard in every room you enter, to expose mediocrity simply by walking in your God-given authority. This is exactly why they gathered, not because you failed, but because you rose. Not because you were falling short, but because you were stepping into something they could see, but couldn't stop. And when jealous people feel powerless to prevent your ascension, they do the only thing their flesh knows how to do. They attack, they whisper, they plot, they form alliances, they gather in groups, because, individually, they don't possess the courage to confront someone who carries authentic spiritual authority. I need you to understand that their alliance was not a sign of their strength, it was evidence of their weakness. The insecure rarely attack alone. They need numbers, because, singularly, they lack the power to shake what heaven has established. They whisper to each other, feeding each other's bitterness, hoping their shared resentment will somehow make them feel stronger. But all they've done is construct the foundation of their own downfall. What they meant for sabotage has become the evidence heaven is using to elevate you. If this is resonating deep in your spirit right now, if you're feeling the weight and the truth of these words, I want you to do something. Not for me, but for yourself. Leave a comment below. Just write "I see it now" or "This is my story." Because when you acknowledge what heaven is revealing, you activate something in the spiritual realm. Your agreement with divine truth releases supernatural momentum. For years, chosen one. Some people around you wore masks, so convincing that you never suspected what was underneath. They pretended to support you while secretly competing with you. They pretended to celebrate your wins while secretly hoping you would stumble. They pretended to be close to you while actively plotting how to distance you from opportunities they felt you didn't deserve. They smiled in your face while speaking poison behind your back. They asked for your prayers while celebrating your setbacks. They requested your wisdom while simultaneously working to undermine your credibility. You sensed something was off, didn't you? Your spirit picked up on the inconsistency even when your mind tried to rationalize it away. You felt the coldness behind their warm words. You noticed the hesitation in their congratulations. You caught the flicker of envy in their eyes when good news came your way. But you ignored it because you wanted to believe the best. You gave them chance after chance because your heart is pure. You extended grace because that's who you are. But heaven allowed their masks to slip, not to hurt you, but to free you. There is a divine separation unfolding in your life right now. And you need to understand that this is not random, this is not chaotic, this is not evidence that something is wrong with you. This is strategic, this is intentional. This is heaven doing surgery on your circle, removing what has been draining your anointing, blocking your flow, and contaminating your atmosphere. And though the cutting away feels painful, it is not loss, it is pruning. A tree cannot bear greater fruit without the removal of dead branches. A vessel cannot hold new wine without being emptied of old, sour residue. A prophet cannot advance into new territory without releasing old attachments that would slow them down. Heaven is removing what cannot walk with you into the dimension you're about to enter. You're stepping into a level of authority, influence, visibility, and yes, financial breakthrough that cannot be shared with jealous hearts. The transfer God is preparing for you, the kind that shifts your entire story, the kind that rewrites your family's legacy, the kind that establishes your name in rooms you haven't even imagined yet. This transfer requires a clean circle. It demands pure alignment. It cannot be diluted with people who smile in your face while praying for your downfall in their hearts. And so the jealous had to expose themselves. They had to fall away. They had to reveal their true intentions because heaven will not allow anyone to claim they contributed to the blessing that is thundering toward you right now. Every person who distanced themselves did you a favor, even though it didn't feel like favor at the time. Every door that closed in your face was actually protecting you from a room that would have poisoned your purpose. Every relationship that ended was making space for connections that will actually honor the weight you carry. You didn't lose anything of value. You gained discernment, clarity, and divine alignment. What looked like subtraction was actually multiplication in disguise. Take a moment and breathe that in. You haven't lost. You've been strategically repositioned. And if that truth is landing in your heart right now, if you can feel the shift happening even as you hear these words, share this message. Send it to someone who needs to know they're not crazy for feeling what they've been feeling. Your obedience to share could be the confirmation someone else is desperately waiting for. Chosen one, I know the weight you've carried. I know what it feels like to walk into environments where people study you like a threat, instead of embracing you like the blessing you are. I know the ache of realizing that you've never intentionally harmed anyone, yet somehow you became the target of their deepest insecurities. I know the confusion of watching people unite against you when all you ever wanted was peace. But I also know this: heaven has been watching, recording, preparing, every tear you cried in secret has been collected, every betrayal you survived has been documented, every lonely night you endured has been counted. None of it was wasted, not one moment. The rejection you walked through became the pathway to revelation. The isolation you endured became the womb where your transformation was formed. And now you're standing at the edge of something that will leave no doubt about whose hand has been covering you. This isn't just about your enemies falling, though some of them will. This is about you rising into what has been reserved specifically for you. Their jealousy was the final confirmation that your spiritual ranking is shifting. Every attack signaled a new level being unlocked. Every whisper against you opened another door of favor. Every attempt to shrink you only proved that heaven had already expanded you beyond what they could comprehend. You are stepping into a season where the very people who tried to bury you will be forced to witness your elevation. Not because you're vengeful, you're not, but because heaven is about to make a divine demonstration. God is going to make it undeniably clear that what is anointed cannot be overthrown. What is chosen cannot be replaced. What is covered by divine purpose cannot be cancelled by human plotting. The jealous groups that once felt so powerful, so connected, so sure of their ability to derail you, they're about to crumble under the weight of their own intentions. Because jealousy has never, ever won against destiny. And you, anointed one, are destiny in motion. You are a divine assignment wrapped in human flesh. You are a heaven-sent solution to problems that haven't even been articulated yet. You carry answers, strategies, wisdom, and grace that this world desperately needs. Here's what's about to happen, and I need you to receive this with your whole spirit. There is a multidimensional transfer coming to you that cannot be stopped by human interference. It's financial, yes, but it's so much more than money. It's a transfer of authority where your voice will suddenly carry weight in rooms that once dismissed you. It's a transfer of influence where your presence will shift atmospheres that once rejected you. It's a transfer of relationships where divine connections will begin seeking you out instead of you having to chase validation. It's a transfer of favor where doors will open that you never even knocked on. It's a transfer of wisdom where strategies and solutions will download into your spirit without you striving for them. It's a transfer of peace where the chaos that once consumed your mind will no longer have access to your inner world. And yes, it's a transfer of wealth, the kind that doesn't just elevate your lifestyle but establishes your legacy, funds the vision heaven gave you, and positions you as a solution provider in the earth. You're not just about to receive a blessing to hoard. You're about to become a blessing distribution center. What's being transferred to you is not for you to clutch with tight fists. It's for you to steward, multiply, and pour out from a place of overflow. This is why heaven had to mature you first. This is why the jealousy had to refine your character. This is why you had to be tested in the fire. You're being trusted with something greater than personal gain. You're being positioned for generational impact. If this is speaking directly to your soul right now, if you can feel the stirring of something about to break open, do me a favor. Type "I receive this" in the comments. Not as some magical formula, but as an act of agreement with what heaven is declaring over you. When you speak it, when you declare it, you activate it. Your words carry creative power. But here's what heaven also wants you to know as you step into this new season. You must release what's behind you. Forgiveness is not optional, it's required, not because they deserve it. They don't, but because you deserve freedom. Holding on to bitterness will contaminate the blessing. Gripping resentment will delay the transfer. Clutching anger will block the elevation. You must let go. not to condone what they did, not to pretend it didn't hurt, but to create space for what God is about to do. Your hands cannot receive new gifts while they're still clenched around old wounds. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean giving them access to your life again. It doesn't mean you forget what happened or trust them with your heart. Forgiveness means releasing them from the debt they owe you so that heaven can repay you in full. It means trusting that God will handle what you couldn't. It means walking in freedom while they remain bound by the consequences of their choices. When you forgive, you're not letting them off the hook. You're removing their ability to live rent-free in your mind, to drain your energy, to influence your emotions. You're taking back your power. The people who hurt you are already carrying the weight of what they did. Heaven is dealing with them in ways you cannot see and will never know about. Their sleepless nights, their internal turmoil, their unexplained struggles. These are not your concern. Your concern is your freedom. Your focus is your future. Your responsibility is your healing. Do not carry what heaven didn't give you to hold. Do not fight battles heaven has already fought on your behalf. Release them to God and watch what happens next in your life. Because the moment you let go of what's behind you, heaven releases what's ahead of you. Chosen one. You're not the same person you were when this journey started. You've been stretched, tested, refined, broken down, and built back up through every single attack. Your discernment is razor sharp now. Your boundaries are crystal clear. Your purpose is unshakable. Your faith is deeper than it's ever been. You're no longer moved by applause or shaken by criticism. You're no longer desperate for acceptance or terrified of rejection. You've learned to walk with heaven as your only witness, and that has made you absolutely unstoppable. The things that used to offend you no longer penetrate. The opinions that used to control you no longer matter. The voices that used to confuse you no longer have influence. The fear that used to paralyze you no longer has power. You've been baptized in fire, and what emerged from that furnace is someone heaven can trust with real authority. Someone the enemy fears approaching. Someone who walks with a confidence that isn't arrogance but certainty. Certainty rooted in knowing your source. If you felt that shift in yourself, if you recognize that you're not who you used to be, leave a comment and just say, "I'm different now." Let your declaration be a testimony, because your story could be exactly what gives someone else permission to keep standing. You see everything differently now. You're not looking for validation in crowds. You're not seeking approval from people who can't comprehend your assignment. You're not competing with anyone, because you understand your lane is divinely assigned and no one can run it but you. You're not anxious about timing because you trust heaven's calendar. You're not desperate for doors to open because you know the right ones will swing wide when you arrive at them. This peace, this clarity, this settledness in your spirit, this is the evidence that you've graduated from the season of preparation and entered the season of manifestation. Heaven is now ready to reward what you protected in private. The purity you maintained when no one was watching. The integrity you held when everyone was judging. The humility you carried when you had every right to be proud. The forgiveness you extended when you had every reason to be bitter. All of it was recorded. All of it was honored. All of it was being prepared for this exact moment. The transfer that's coming to you is not luck. It's not coincidence. It's not random favor. This is alignment. This is heaven making good on every promise, whispered to you in your darkest hour. This is the manifestation of what you believed for when belief was all you had. This is the reward for staying faithful when faithfulness felt foolish. This is your appointed moment, the exact divine hour, where what was withheld is released, what was delayed is accelerated, and what was stolen is returned in greater measure. Before we close, I want you to understand something crucial. The downfall of those who targeted you is not your victory, it's your confirmation. It proves you were always chosen, always protected, always set apart. You don't need to celebrate their struggles. You don't need to gloat over their failures. You simply need to walk forward in your authority, knowing that heaven vindicated you, not through your words, but through your elevation. As you step into what's next, Walk with reverence and confidence. You're not walking into ordinary days. You're walking into anointed days. Days where heaven goes before you. Days where favor surrounds you like a shield. Days where your name is spoken in rooms you haven't entered yet. Not because you manipulated your way in, but because your assignment requires you to be there. If this message has stirred something deep within you, if you felt heaven speaking directly into your situation, I need you to do something. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your obedience to share could be the lifeline someone is reaching for. And if you want to stay connected to messages like this, to words that feed your spirit and strengthen your walk, subscribe so you never miss what heaven is releasing next. Write "My season has shifted" in the comments if you feel the change happening. Not for engagement, not for algorithms, but as a prophetic declaration over your life. Let your words agree with what heaven is already doing. Chosen one, go in strength, go in light, go in absolute certainty that your story is shifting and heaven is far from finished with you. Everything you lost is being restored with interest. Everything you sowed in tears is being harvested in joy. Everything you believed for in the dark is manifesting in the light. The best is not behind you. The best is unfolding right now. May clarity flood your mind. May strength rise in your spirit. May peace guard your steps. And may every door, aligned with your divine purpose, open without resistance. You are walking into your season of supernatural overflow, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what heaven has already released. Together we rise toward the light.